What a do, Tackle Crew? We back here. Today, I'm gonna be giving y'all some sauce. I'm gonna be showing y'all some spicy tips that you can use to make your beats sound like the pros, like your idols. And while you're at it, make sure you check out my loop kit, Paradise. Got 40 loops in there, inspired by a bunch of people like TJ, NBA Youngboy, Roddy Ricch, and a whole lot more. So go check it out. So to start out, when it comes to mixing, you gotta always make sure that on your master you have some sort of limiter or compressor or something that is to prevent your audio from peaking above 0 decibels. Because once you go over that range, that's where you get all clippy and stuff. Nobody wants to be like Clippy. Wait, isn't Clippy like that dude from Microsoft? So there's many different ways that you can achieve this. So right here on my master, I have 3 different things that a lot of you could use. Now I'm gonna start off with the Fruity Limiter. I don't really recommend this one. It's very hard to get your settings perfect on this. That kick is being absorbed by the compressor, and it sounds like it's trying to like punch out of like a plastic bag. And you don't really want that. You want your kick and you want your drums to really be hitting. What I do recommend for the people, that anyone who has FL Studio who have this, and you see me use this on a lot of videos, a lot of my prior videos, even all my old ones, Soft Clipper will always prevent your track from going above 0 decibels. And it's not a compressor. A soft clipper is different. It's just clipping soft. That's literally what all it does. It's just, it clips it very softly, but keeps you below that actual clipping threshold. Now the sauce, this is what I really recommend you get. This is the Waves API 2500 stereo compressor. Now this thing is a monster. I've used this preset right here called Modern Mastering Glue. This will get your drums very punchy, as if it is like being soft clip, but also being able to bring up the dynamics of the entire beat. So this is the soft clipper. And this is the API 2500 stereo. So I really do recommend the API 2500 stereo. This is like an industry standard right here, and it's pretty cheap too. It's only 35 bucks or something right now. But moving on from the mastering, the next thing you want to work on is the actual stereo field of your beat. Your audio track works in this sort of shape. I'll put like a diagram, I guess, but you are filling up this entire space with sound, and you don't want everything just sitting right on top of each other. Think of it like a canvas, like you're painting a picture. You want that picture to be coated on every inch of that canvas. You don't want any like canvas showing, but you don't want your paints overlapping, or else it gets messy. I guess that sort of made sense. Now picture like that. So right here, if we come to this piano, you can see that this piano is taking up this range and a little bit of the high range. Okay, so unfortunately I don't have a way to like visually show you what the sounds are doing, but just picture that in this space, this piano is occupying, and you can hear it a little bit, basically taking up a lot of the headspace. Now, if we come to here to really visualize where stuff can sit in front of you, because that's a lot of the dynamics comes from the placement and panning from left to right channels for stereo. So, if we come to this arcade sequence, I have an S1 stereo imager, and if I mess around with the width, the more I pull the width up, the further pan left to right it goes, and the more I pull it down, the more mono it becomes and sits in front of you. And this is something that you play with, a lot of dynamic range and getting some variance in your samples and beats. Another thing you can do for your pianos is, if you really want it to feel spacious, because right now it's not very wide right now. It is, but if you wanted to even make it even wider, you can add on a reverb. And now it's a lot more diffused into that stereo field, but I'm not going to use it because I didn't have it for that. Now mostly for all your instruments, the main thing that you want to focus on is the EQing. So the EQing, like I said before, it's like a canvas. You don't want certain parts overlapping, and other parts you got to duck down, and you want to prevent everything from being mixed together and made all muddy. So like you can hear it with the piano. If I take the piano here and I can put in that low end, sounds very muddy. It doesn't sound good. So when you take out that low range that the 808 is sitting in from the piano, the 808 has a chance to push further through in the mix. So you can see right here that the 808 is mostly occupying around the 40 to like 180 hertz range. We came down to all our melodies and we are cutting out that range so then the 808 can shine through. But to keep that in mind, if you really want your low end bussin', then you got to EQ your melodies. And that also goes with your drums too. Your drums, you also want to make sure that you're EQing them. You're taking out all these unwanted frequencies down here that you don't need, that's just occupying the space and making it sound even muddier. So if I just pull this out, you can see it sounds a lot different. If I pull up right here, you might not see it, but there's sound right here. So you hear that? So that's what you want to cut out, and that goes with all the instruments, all these unwanted frequencies that you have down here. And essentially you want to pull the EQ over until it starts affecting the sound and you can hear a drastic change. Like obviously you don't want that. Like that'd be a good range right there. Now lastly, you're going to want to focus on panning, especially for your drums. For your drums, this is very important because since your drums are mono and also the vocals that will be recorded on these are in mono, they're going to be both sitting in that same range. The more you pan it and make them like somewhat stereo, the better it'll be for the artist for when they're recording onto the track. So like for the hi-hats, even just a slight little pan like this makes a difference. The clap, not so much you don't have to worry about. But what you can do with claps and stuff is you can make them a little bit wider. So just so they sound a little more full. The kick and the 808 you want to leave completely mono. You don't want to mess with those or else you're gonna, yeah, exactly. And same with the snare. We can come to the snare here, and instead of using the pan knob, you come down here and you can adjust the pan of the snare. So if you wanted it to be panned just slightly and you want it to go from the left channel to the right channel, you just go like this. Simple as that. So now if we play everything together, fully mixed. And also a little side thing that you might want to focus on too is the levels and knowing what you want standing out in a melody. Obviously, I'm going to want the piano standing out, so I'm going to want that the loudest, but I also want this arcade. This is like the main accent behind that melody. Now the pad is sitting behind the piano, and plus the pad is just sitting there just for a little bit of background ambience, so it's not just completely dry back there. So if there's one thing that you learned from this video, using a soft clipper or some sort of compressor on your master, you're going to want to focus on the dynamics of your stereo field and spacing out your melodies and drums to make sure that they fit right and everything sounds full. You don't want anything sounding flat. And number 3, you're going to want to focus on the EQ. And the EQ is a very important part in making sure that everything is mixed properly together and stitched together, because you don't want anything overlapping and sounding muddy. I'm sorry this wasn't as funny as, you know, all my other videos, but you know, this one could be a little bit more serious. I'm trying to help out the but I'm trying to help out the newcomers here. So make sure y'all subscribe, hit that post notifications button, follow me on Instagram, you know the drill. So peace, it's been real, see y'all next time.